the attorney work product, or you don't want them to see or interfere with each other's work products. Markup sets are completely securable, and we can make it so when an expert comes in, they'll be locked down, and they will not see this drop-down with options to choose from. It will just be gray straight across, so they'll have no idea the functionality even exists. It's a way to build and maintain those ethical walls in the system. In IP litigation, which is often multi-jurisdictional, the document might go out a variety of different ways for the different jurisdictions. We can manage that process through different markup sets. So instead of attorney and expert, our markup sets might be named jurisdiction A, jurisdiction B, jurisdiction C, etc. So there's also no limit on the number of markup sets you can have. Then, when we go in to produce our records in relativity, we'll just pick which markup set we want to produce from. We also have our Markup Navigation that allows a user to quickly jump from annotation to annotation. The Markup Navigation feature quickly shows the type of markup, the text box indication, which markup set the annotation resides in, and the page number. Any questions about redacting or markup sets before we go on to take a look at tagging and coding?
I'm going to jump back to our first record in our database and talk a little bit about tagging and coding. You'll notice on the right side of the screen, we have what we call layouts and relativity. Layouts are web-based coding forms for storing the bibliographical data and metadata about a record, as well as the tagging and coding structure used by the review team. They are highly customizable and completely secureable from user to user and group to group. Right now, I'm logged in as a power user, so you'll see I have a whole host of different coding forms available to me. This form that's actually called coding looks like it's concerned with a lot of issue tags here. One called First Pass Review looks to be a very limited amount of bibliographical data. If I were a first pass reviewer, I'd probably be locked down to this coding form and I wouldn't see all these others here on this list. I would only see forms that included the decisions I needed to make. There's one here for assigning documents, another for authoring our privlog, and a form called All Fields that appears to be read-only metadata about this record. Let's go back to coding, and here we can place rules on these layouts to ensure the quality and consistency of the review. For instance, I can make a field read-only, like the control number or custodian's field, and even though I'm in edit mode in this form, I cannot edit those fields. An orange box means that a field is required throughout relativity, so for this particular coding form, it looks like responsiveness is a required decision. If I were to uncheck any values and try to save it, it would not allow me to do so, and I would have to make a decision before moving on to the next document. Also set up are propagation rules. Let's say I tag a record as privileged, and I want that designation to automatically propagate to any other member of this record's family or any duplicate in the system. The copy from previous rule allows users to copy the coding decisions from one document to the next before saving. This is particularly useful when batches of documents are assigned out to reviewers based on conceptual similarity, where quite often the documents will be coded the same. We can also set up advanced logic on these to enforce best practices and workflow rules. Maybe in this particular review, there is a rule that says, at this stage, a record cannot be tagged as both privileged and responsive at the same time. So, if I were to try and save it with that designation, it wouldn't allow the save, stating that a document cannot be marked as responsive and privileged. Or, if I were to go to a different place in my review, where someone were to tag this document as privileged, they would have to pick a deeper determination with one of these subtypes. So, at that point, maybe we would give them a warning saying that a subtype must be selected or a save will not be allowed. We can even set up rules where, if someone comes in and tags a document as super hot, we want to force them to leave a comment explaining that designation. Or, if they tag a record as en fuego, in addition to that comment, we're also going to shoot off an email to the lead partner in charge of this case, saying something like, "This document has been tagged as en fuego, and here's the hyperlink. You might want to take a look." Some review platforms let you tag a record as reviewed, but we can set up some smart criteria to manage that process. So maybe if responsiveness, confidentiality, and privilege have all been addressed, we're going to automatically have the document flagged as reviewed and shot off to a second-tier reviewer. So what we're really trying to do is give you the tools to sit down with the case team, come up with the best practices workflow for review, and then solidify and automate those features. Then everyone has the decisions, documents, and information that they need in a very fluid and automated way, without a ton of extraneous noise in the way that doesn't really concern them. Are there any questions about the layouts and relativity?